All right, so it looks like you're ready to trade in those real-world clubs for the virtual ones, huh?
Yeah.
We are diving into the world of VR golf with the MetaQuest 3 today. And honestly, I am a little jealous. So tell me, are you hoping to perfect that swing in, any weather? Or is it more about virtually exploring those legendary courses?
Well, it's amazing how VR is opening up so many possibilities for sports, and golf is just like a perfect example. It's not just about like simulating the game, it's about enhancing that whole experience. So we'll definitely look at what makes the MetaQuest 3 so special for golf, but more importantly, what it actually feels like to play.
Okay, so for anyone listening who might picture VR golf as just like, mini golf with those goofy windmills, can you paint a picture of what it's really like?
Think about it this way. You got a headset that puts you right on the course, visually. And then you got controllers that become your clubs. You're not just like pushing buttons, you're actually swinging. And the crazy part is the technology is so good now that it feels real. You see the course, you feel the wind, even hear the sounds, like you're really there.
Okay, now I'm really getting jealous. But why MetaQuest 3 specifically? What puts it at the top of the leaderboard for VR golf?
Well, the articles you shared mention a few key things. The visuals are incredibly sharp and detailed, so the immersion is really powerful. Then there are the sensors, which are insanely responsive. Every little movement in your swing is tracked, which is how the game can give you feedback on your form. And crucially, for longer sessions, the design is lightweight and comfortable.
Comfort is a good point. You don't want a clunky headset ruining your focus when you're trying to sink that perfect putt.
But the articles also highlight benefits that go beyond just playing around. This feels like it's moving from just a fun activity into serious training territory.
Yeah.
Exactly. And this is where it gets really interesting for you as a learner. Think about the things that can like hold back your golf game: weather, travel time, even just getting a tee time. VR eliminates all of that. You can practice anytime, any place, and focus on exactly what you need to improve.
So it's like having your own personal golf simulator, but portable. What stood out to me in the articles was the data tracking. This feels like a huge leap for anyone who's serious about improving.
Absolutely. The MetaQuest 3, paired with the right software, can track everything from your swing speed and club face angle to the ball's trajectory. It's like having a pro caddy whispering in your ear with every swing, showing you exactly what's working and what needs tweaking.
All right, I'm officially sold. But before we dive into specific games and features, I gotta ask, how does this all work technically? What's the magic that makes a virtual swing feel so real?
Well, the headset is key. It's tracking your head movements to create that 360-degree view of the course. And then the controllers, which are gripping just like real clubs, have sensors that translate your movements into the game. So when you swing, the game knows exactly how fast, at what angle, everything. It's pretty wild when you think about it.
Okay, so now I'm picturing myself stepping onto Pebble Beach, feeling that ocean breeze. But I'm still in my pajamas. The article specifically recommends checking out GeoLF Plus on the MetaQuest store. I'm guessing this isn't your average mini golf game, right?
Not even close. GeoLF Plus has really upped the ante when it comes to VR golf. It's got a huge variety of courses, from real-world classics to totally imaginative ones. But beyond just playing, they've built in features specifically for learners like you. Think practice modes where you can drill down on specific skills, and detailed performance tracking so you can see your progress over time.
Now that's what I'm talking about. Data that helps you improve, not just tells you how you did. But I'm curious, with all these features and realistic courses, does it actually feel like playing real golf? Or is there still a disconnect between the virtual swing and the real thing?
That's the big question, right? And honestly, it's something you almost have to experience to fully understand. What I can tell you is the technology is getting incredibly close to replicating the real feel of golf. The visual immersion is there, the physical active swinging is there, and now with advancements like haptic feedback, you're even starting to feel the impact of the club hitting the ball. It's pretty mind-blowing.
Hold on, haptic feedback. You mean I could actually feel the difference between a clean drive and a shank? Okay, I'm definitely needing to try this out. But before we go full VR golf crazy, let's shift gears a bit and talk about the broader impact this technology is having. We've seen how it can change the way we practice and play golf.
Yeah.
But what about the impact on sports in general?
That's where things get really interesting. Think about everything we've discussed. Accessibility, personalized training, data analysis. These are concepts that can be applied to almost any sport. Athletes are already using VR to train for everything from basketball and football to tennis and even boxing. And as the technology continues to evolve, we can expect to see even more creative applications.
Okay, so now my mind is racing with possibilities, but let's park that thought for a moment and take a quick break. When we come back, we'll dive deeper into how VR is changing the game for athletes and everyday folks alike, and explore what this all means for the future of sports and learning. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to our deep dive into the world of VR golf.
We are just getting warmed up. So before the break, we were teeing up the question of how VR is impacting sports beyond just golf. And I have to admit, my mind is already racing with possibilities.
Yeah, it's truly fascinating how VR is changing the game, literally. And what's exciting is that we're only scratching the surface of what's possible.
So we've touched on the accessibility aspect, being able to play any course anytime. But one thing that really stood out in the articles was the idea that VR isn't just about replicating reality, it's about enhancing it. Can you expand on that a bit?
Absolutely. Think about it. In real life, you're limited by the laws of physics, the weather, even the course design itself. But in VR, those limitations just disappear. You can play on courses that defy gravity, with floating islands and crazy obstacles. Or you can adjust the weather conditions to your liking, so no more battling the wind or waiting for the rain to stop.
So it's like having the ultimate personalized golf experience. But beyond the courses themselves, how else does VR enhance the game?
One big thing is the feedback you get. In real golf, you might have a general sense of what went wrong with a shot. But VR can break it down for you in detail. You see exactly how your swing path, club face, angle, and ball speed all contributed to the result. It's like having an instant replay for every shot, with expert analysis built in.
That's incredible. It's like having a personal coach who sees everything and can give you specific advice on how to improve.
Precisely. And this level of feedback isn't limited to golf. Imagine applying it to other sports. Basketball players could see exactly how their release angle affects their free throws. Baseball hitters could analyze their swing plane and bat speed. The possibilities are endless.
Okay, I'm officially convinced that VR is a game changer for athletes. But what about for everyday folks like me who just want to have some fun and maybe get a little exercise?
Well, that's where the social aspect of VR comes in. Remember how we talked about the multiplayer options in GOLF Plus NG? You can connect with friends and family online play rounds together, and even participate in virtual tournaments. It's a great way to stay connected and have some friendly competition, no matter where you are in the world.
That's a great point. It's like having a virtual country club where you can hang out with friends and play around even if you're miles apart.
And it's not just about golf either. There are VR games and experiences for all sorts of activities, from dancing and boxing to rock climbing and even exploring underwater worlds. It's like having an entire entertainment center in your living room.
So no more excuses about not having time for exercise or being bored with the same old routine. VR can bring the fun and variety of a gym right into your home.
Exactly. And for people who might be intimidated by traditional gyms or fitness classes, VR can offer a more private and comfortable environment to work out.
That makes sense. It's like having your own personal gym without the judgmental stares or the pressure to keep up with others.
And speaking of inclusivity, one of the most exciting aspects of VR is its potential to break down barriers and make sports and fitness more accessible to everyone.
I'm really glad you brought that up. The articles mentioned this briefly, but I think it's worth exploring further. How is VR changing the game for people with disabilities, for example?
Imagine someone who uses a wheelchair. In the real world, they might be limited in what sports they can participate in. But in VR, those limitations disappear. They can play basketball, dance, go rock climbing, all from the comfort of their own home.
That's incredible. It's like VR is leveling the playing field, giving everyone the opportunity to experience the joy and challenge of sports, regardless of their physical abilities.
And it's not just about physical disabilities either. VR can also be beneficial for people with cognitive or social challenges. It can provide a safe and controlled environment to practice social skills, learn new things, and even overcome fears.
This is really making me think about the potential of VR to transform education and therapy as well. It's like a whole new world of possibilities that's opening up. But before we get too carried away, it's important to acknowledge that VR isn't a magic solution for everything. What are some of the potential downsides or challenges we should be aware of?
You're right, it's important to have a balanced perspective. One thing to consider is the cost. VR headsets can still be quite expensive, which can create a barrier to entry for some people. And of course, there's the issue of motion sickness, which some people experience when using VR. It's important to be mindful of those limitations.
Those are valid points. And I think it's also worth noting that while VR can offer incredible immersive experiences, it's important to maintain a healthy balance between the virtual and the real world. We don't want to lose sight of the importance of face-to-face interactions and real-life experiences.
Absolutely. VR should be seen as a tool to enhance our lives, not replace them.
Well said. So we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive, from the technical aspects of VR golf to its broader impact on sports fitness, and even society as a whole. But before we wrap things up, there's one more question I'd love to explore. So we've talked about how VR is changing the game like right now, but what about the future? I'm curious, knowing all we've discussed, how do you see VR shaping the way people approach sports and learning new skills, like 5, 10 years down the line?
That's the million-dollar question. And honestly, it's hard to predict with certainty. But what's exciting is that the potential seems limitless. We've already seen how VR can democratize access to experiences, provide personalized training, and even enhance reality in ways we never thought possible.
Yeah, it's almost like we're on the cusp of a whole new era of learning and athletic development.
I think that's a great way to put it. Imagine a world where anyone, regardless of their physical location or even their physical abilities, can access the best coaches, the most challenging courses, and training programs tailored to their individual needs. It's like the barriers that used to hold people back are starting to crumble.
That's a powerful thought. We focused on sports, but this has implications far beyond the athletic field.
Absolutely. Think about education. Imagine medical students performing virtual surgeries with haptic feedback, feeling the resistance of tissues and the precision required, or architects designing buildings in like a 3D immersive space, walking through their creations before a single brick is laid. The way we learn and train for any profession could be fundamentally transformed.
It's almost like VR could make learning truly experiential, not just theoretical. And wouldn't that make it more engaging and effective?
Exactly. We all learn differently. Some people are visual learners, others learn by doing. VR can cater to those individual preferences. Imagine a virtual learning environment that adapts to your pace, provides personalized feedback, and adjusts the difficulty level as you progress. It's like having a custom-designed education tailored to your unique needs.
It's exciting to think about the possibilities.
But it's
It's
also
important to acknowledge the potential downsides. If VR becomes the primary way we learn and interact with the world, could it lead to social isolation or a disconnect from reality?
That's a valid concern, and it's one we need to be mindful of as VR technology evolves. It's crucial that we find a healthy balance between the virtual and the real. VR should be a tool that enhances our lives, not replaces real-world interactions and experiences.
Well said. And ultimately, it's up to us as individuals and as a society to shape the future of VR in a way that benefits everyone. But I want to bring it back to our listener for a moment. They've clearly got an interest in VR golf and learning more about the MetaQuest 3. What's one tangible thing they can do today to explore this world further?
My advice would be jump in and experience it firsthand. There are VR arcades popping up everywhere offering a variety of experiences. Or if you know someone with a headset, ask to try it out. And of course, there's a ton of information online. Read reviews, watch videos, find an experience that sparks your interest, and dive in.
That's great advice. Sometimes the best way to understand a new technology is to simply experience it for yourself. And who knows, you might discover a whole new passion or a skill you never knew you had.
Exactly. VR has a way of surprising you. And honestly, even for someone like me who spends a lot of time thinking about this stuff, I'm constantly amazed by the new applications and experiences that are emerging.
Well, on that note of endless possibilities, I think it's time for us to wrap up this deep dive. We've covered so much ground, from the basics of VR golf to the potential of VR to revolutionize the way we learn and play. It's been an incredible journey, and I hope you found it as insightful and thought-provoking as I have.
It's been a pleasure sharing this exploration with you. And remember, this is just the beginning. The world of VR is constantly evolving. So stay curious, keep exploring, and who knows what amazing discoveries await you on that virtual horizon.
And for our listener, we'd love to hear your thoughts. Are you ready to tee off into the world of VR golf? Or maybe you're already a seasoned VR enthusiast. Either way, drop us a comment or message and let us know your thoughts on this amazing technology. Until next time, happy golfing, whether it's on the green or in the virtual world.